Right, let's move on. We've heard countless incidents where someone's Facebook profile or Twitter account has got them into trouble at work or swung a decision over a job offer. Well, our next guest says he has a solution to your online woes. Michael Fertik is the CEO of Reputation.com and joins us now. Michael, very nice to see you today. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know very little about your company. I don't know if our viewers do as well. So why don't you tell us all about it and what you actually do?
Reputation.com protects reputation and privacy on the internet. We do it in 100 countries. We're a Silicon Valley-based company. And the news today is that we are entering formally the UK market, and from here the European market. We bought a company here in the UK. We've chosen the UK as our European HQ.
Yep.
Our customers, we have over 1 million customers. They range from individuals, mom and dad, to small business owners, all the way to Global 2000. CEOs, products, brands, locations of all the storefronts of your brand for car dealerships or hotels. So it's a full gamut kind of product that is built on a huge stack of data and computer science that we've been building for 5-6 years. We have 3 patents issued, about 40 in the pipeline. And we are just pleased as punch to be here to grow our business in the UK.
Well, that's very nice, and we'll talk about the UK in a few moments' time if we may. But just tell us how you monetize it for such a wide spectrum, from the mums and pops to those huge companies at the other end of the spectrum. How do you monetize your product?
We're a subscription product, so it costs between £10 and £100.
All right, so I'm going to come in. I'm going to spend £100. There you go. I'm going to spend a load of money. What do I get for it?
I would prefer that you spend a lot more than £100 because you are so well known. But here's how we have something called a hyper freemium model.
Here's an example. I don't have a Twitter account, but someone opened up a Twitter account quite recently in my name, and then CNBC went through the process of finding out who it was and getting it shut down as well. What would you have done to have prevented that with your products?
Well, it's a very manual process, and that's not a typical incident for your average viewer, right? Even a business owner.
Yeah.
But people can't control their search results. They don't have any control over what people find about them online, and that's so important because customers are looking you up online, and they're making decisions based on what they find. It's clear all the markets, UK and US, look very, very similar in this way. 90% of people look you up online, and about 80% make a decision to buy, not to buy, to date you, to hire you, not to hire you, based on what they find.
Yeah, 99% decide not to date me.
99%, well, you only need 1% to succeed in the proposition. So maybe less than 1% if you want to end up happily married. But the proposition, though, is that you need control of your online data because everyone's making decisions about you all the time, and that the proposition becomes so difficult that you now need a technology provider like us to do it for you. And so how do we make money? So you start out at £10 or £100 a year or a month, and then you're a business owner and you graduate because you want to protect the reputation of your business. And then some of our customers have small or larger businesses, and then some of them are Global 2000 or FTSE 100 kinds of companies. And so it's what we call a hyper freemium model, where you subscribe all the way from $100 to $1 million.
Super.
In some ways, you're almost the natural enemy of the journalist. As we go out there searching for information, you're managing the editorial on the other side. So aren't there ethical considerations around doing this type of thing?
I love how British journalists ask questions. It's like
actually,
it's
very,
Australia, in the British guy, it's very rhetorical. It's a very rhetorical process. It's like, oh, isn't it true that you're on the other side of the... let me just answer it this way. I'll tell you what. I think
You've become a Brit character.
Well, I guess that, look, Google's not the truth, and it's not the First Amendment, and it's not God. And journalists are pretty good at finding the truth, right? But I'll tell you what. If one former spouse of yours or former disgruntled employee is out there destroying your reputation, there's some fan of yours who's out there talking about the way you look and not your journalism, I don't know why that has to be the first thing that people see about you. And I think that people do in this age deserve to have some control over the information. We've all been opted into the machine. We've all been opted in. All our data are being collected without our knowledge or permission by people we can't identify for purposes we can never know. And I think that we should turn the tables on this. I think we should have a user-centric internet. If you ask the godfathers of the internet, the guys who really built the internet, they're now in their 70s and 80s, what went missing? What did they miss out? What did they do wrong? They talk about something called the authentication layer of the internet, which is essentially about the user-centric version of the web, in which you get, not perfect, but some control over the data that's collected about you and that appears about you. It doesn't mean that the information you don't like goes away, but it doesn't have to define you. The internet is not a source of truth. It's a source of half-truth and innuendo. And the point is to give the end user the ability to have a real say in their future and in their definition of their identity on the internet.
Well, when I search Jeremy Stretch, all kinds of things come up. And but Jeremy, your point on this?
Well, I'd just like to move away from the sort of the logistical elements of the business, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the way that you're now entering the market, you said you mentioned about using the UK as your entry into Europe. What's the rationale for deciding to locate or start the business here, and how do you see that developing into the European time?
It's an excellent question. For us, the UK is an obvious choice for a couple of reasons. One, you have a mature and very good consumer and small business market. And number two, London is one of the 4 cities of the world that are homes to large numbers of multinationals who are also critical customers for us. In my view, that's New York, London, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And so the confluence of those two things makes the UK a unique place. Also, I believe that I'm very long on Britain. I'm long on the British economy. I understand that the economy may have shrunk about 0.3% in the last quarter, and that there's a threat of a triple dip. I understand that. And I'm not making a political point, but I believe that all the ingredients for long-term growth, I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years, but 5 and 10 years, are just seem to be there. And to make a purchase like this, to make an investment like the one we've made, you think about 5 and 10 years. You don't think about 1 and 2 years.
Sure.
You have a highly entrepreneurial workforce, highly educated workforce, highly international, multinational, multilingual workforce, an increasingly entrepreneurial orientation culturally towards high technology. In my book, the only possible place for high technology success in Europe is the UK.
It's good to hear.
And so we're very bullish.
What does stand out about the industry is the changing fortunes and just how quickly new companies rise to the top of the mix, for instance, on the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your company, just how close you are to the trends that happen in the industry in terms of IT spending. Do you see the fluctuations, and does it impact your revenue model?
It's a very good question. I'd tell you, we're definitely in a bubble in Silicon Valley, right? Valuations are very high, and the public markets are now punishing some of the valuations from the private markets. You've seen that with Groupon and Zynga. And so the shine is kind of off the jewel a little bit in Silicon Valley, which unfortunately affects companies like mine. But if you have good fundamentals, if you actually have revenue, unlike an Instagram, which is a very popular device that never really was able to monetize well, then I think that you have a little bit of a strength. There's kind of a flight to quality now in Silicon Valley and in the investment community. I will say also that the good companies, the big companies, tend to spend into the downturn. So you look at the great companies like Intel and Apple, they spend and invest during the downturn where other guys can't afford to spend. So right now we are buying companies. We're buying, I think, at this period of 90 days, 3 companies, 1 here and 2 in the West Coast of the United States. So we're very bullish on this moment, and we're very focused on growth, right? At the mood at Davos last week was, well, maybe the tail risk is diminishing. Let's focus on growth. Let's focus on what's next. And I believe that the market opportunities are rich for growth if you invest well and if you have a defensible IP-based business model.
It's hard not to share your passion for it. Come back and visit us again. I'm sure you'll be here quite a bit with your passion for the UK as well. So very nice to see you. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Michael Fertik, who is the CEO of Reputation.com. CNBC.com, Squawkbox at CNBC.com if you want to get involved in the conversations we're having around the desk. Still to come.